If you're not strong enough and you're going through tough times, I don't think.
You made a big move in 2011, like leaving behind some debt, property in England. What was going through your mind when you arrived to Australia?
Well, the initial challenge was I get a great kick out of teaching young people, especially about money management as well. To me, money is very important. Because of the financial mess I got myself into, borrowing money and property and that, I still have responsibilities, so they don't know what I pick. You actually saved my son's life. Change your mindset and your talking from negative to positive. Like I've said in the end of my book, like, I am wealthy, I am healthy, I have found, and no offense to the people who have written them, they repeat themselves in different ways in the book to make it look a bigger book. For me, I don't like to...
The moments from the people that you help, of them actually...
Welcome back to Beyond Boundaries, guys. Johnny and I here to provide some amazing value once again. It's going to be quite an interesting episode. We've got a guest that has a story to tell, so make sure that you tune in. If you have not yet, go like, go subscribe, go comment, go share, go show some love. And yeah, Martin, it's lovely to have you here, so thank you for coming in. If you would like to explain, who are you, where are you from, and what do you do?
Who are you? Who am I? I'm Martin Howley. I'm originally from Ireland. I left Ireland at 16, went to England. Went to college for 3 years. I'm a qualified baker confectioner. I decided when I found out about construction to go down that line because the money in catering was terrible. I wouldn't be able to save any money or stuff like that. So, I've been in construction for 37 years between England, 5 years in Berlin and Germany. Came here in 2011. And,
that's fine. Yeah, it seems like you've got quite an interesting story to tell as well, especially from the information you've given me, but also, what would you call it, Johnny? A jack of all trades?
Jack of all trades, yeah.
You've tried this, that, everything, especially through your years of living and everything, which is amazing. So I know that you made a big move in 2011, like leaving behind some debt, property in England. What was going through your mind when you arrived to Australia?
Well, the initial challenge was, the ambition was by coming here and hearing about all this money in the mines was, I was £60,000 in debt. After my girlfriend passing, I had 10 properties in England and it was like a rope around my neck. I was literally just going to work to pay the bank. And I was contemplating bankruptcy because, to be honest, money-wise, it was just a waste of time working. I was just feeding the bank, Couldn't see a way out till I went to work one day and one of my colleagues goes to me, I'm fed up with this bliss, Martin, I'm out of here. I said, where are you going? Australia. I said, what's in Australia? Being naive, not knowing, because you're just working all the time in England and didn't think outside the box. And he said to me, my cousin's in Australia. He's getting $3,000 a week in Australia. I went, don't be talking rubbish, will you? Because when you're not familiar with that kind of money, and it just sounded too good to be true. So we have a thing in Ireland, if you don't believe us, we do the sign of the cross on our body. I look on my mom's life, you know? And when he did that, obviously, I believed him. So we carried on working, and obviously calculator was going off in my head. If I could do this and achieve this, this would really save me. So obviously, back in the day, before that, I got introduced to the law of attraction, The Secret. And a lovely lady friend of my mom's introduced me to that, and I had some hypnosis help. So I was doing all that to myself, affirmations. I don't know if you know about affirmations. So while I'd be going to work in the car, I would pray in the car, get going to work, and I'd be doing my wealthy affirmations. Kind of a cry for help, really, hoping money, opportunity would come my way. So the next day I got a phone call of a better job in London. And but the catch was it was 7 days a week and £1,000 a week. And I said to my friend Eddie, I said, put me down. I said, I'll leave here at the end of the week, go next Monday. He said, are you sure? Yeah, I'm in. So I went there, and there was 3 Irish lads there, young Irish lads that had returned from Australia. And they came home with 100,000, 150,000, and we were looking at them thinking because this was sounded like a lot of money to us, being on 500 and 600 pound. So I said, how do you go about going to Australia? And it was like your man above had just put the way in for me, you know. You say, oh, there's an agent down the road. So the next day then at tea time, I snuck away during my tea break, found the agent. And the agent was actually from Perth, who had travelled to England to do to have a break from Australia, wanted to do a year's break. So he told me, yeah, Martin, he said, you'll need to do a medical, you need police clearance, you need to do a carpentry test, a theory test, and have to do a physical. He said, it'll cost you £5,000. And I'm going...
Did you have the money at the time?
No. I was going like, I didn't tell him, but I was going, just came out like... And I knew, like, being the oldest of 6 in my family, I'd have to pass my mother. So I said to my mother, hopefully tears weren't going to come from her. And she said to me, well, if that money is there, you go for it. Well, I thought, I was going, lovely. I've scored a goal here. So, lucky enough with that job, with the good money that I was earning, I managed to get the money together, pay for the visa, do all the right things. And then I got a call 5 months later from my agent to come up to see him. We were going to go to the embassy together. I got my visa. So we went there, came home with the visa. I chucked it on the table and said, Mom, I'm going to be off soon. So we embraced, had a bit of a hug. I went uptown, inquired about how much it was to Australia. So I booked a one-way ticket, £650. So that was for a month later. And I'll never forget going to Heathrow Airport and seeing this massive jet outside the window. And straight away it came to me like, how the hell does 300 people sit on this thing? With all the luggage as well, and stay up in the air. 13 hours it was to Singapore, and then 5 hours to Perth. I tell you, my backside, I tell you, was something else. But anyway, got off the plane, got off at Perth Airport, and I got a bus for $25 into Perth. And my friends told me that knew Perth, look out for the backpackers. I had no accommodation booked, no job to come to. So I looked out for these backpackers on the bus, and the actual bus stopped at the Globe Backpackers on Wellington Street. I went in there, myself and another English bloke went in there, and I had 2 cases. She goes, no, we're full up. And I remember passing the Grand Central, it was on Wellington Street. And we went back to that place, and the lady goes to me, yeah, we've got 2 available up in the Dome. I hadn't got a clue what a dome was at the time. So, as you say in the law of attraction, probably don't say everything, say yes. And so it was $20 a night in the Dome. So I booked in for a week, pulled the bags up 2 flights of stairs, opened the door, and there was 14 young ones on bunk beds, and I thought like, oh my God. So I thought, no, shut up, don't complain. Get the head down for the night and sort life out in the morning. So I did. And I found out in the morning that I had to do a white card for construction, which took me a while. And I had to open a bank account, get a Medicaid card, get my driving license changed over. So I had it all done by Monday evening. So I got up Tuesday with the best intentions to find a job, got the Western Australian newspaper, and I found a mining job. So I rang up about it. And I virtually only got the job. And the guy goes to me, how long you been in Australia? And I thought, oh my God, will I tell the truth here or not? So I told him nearly a week. Oh, he said, oh no, he said, you're not coming up here. He said, you'll fry. Okay. Put the phone down and had a whinge and a whine. So I managed to get another job in Perth, up in Joondalup, and I went up there, and within that time, there was an internet cafe around the corner from Wellington Street, so I'd go in there every evening and I'd shoot my CV out to all the mining companies. 2 weeks later, or 3 weeks later, I got a phone call from a company called Form Action with this lady, and she wanted to do me a phone interview, which I thought was fine. So we did a phone interview, then wanted me to call me into the office Oh no, sorry. Interview went well, and she wanted to send me for a medical. I said, okay, thank you. I was a bit paranoid because I'm gluten and dairy intolerant. I won't pass this medical. But I didn't know at the time they catered for people like me. So went and did the medical and put on the Mike Tyson act, with these weights and get through this thing and achieve this, which was big for me, like my first job in Australia. So I went to work the next day, everything was fine. Went to work the next day, I got the phone call. Yeah, Martin, you passed the medical, we'd like to offer you a contract. And I was going, could you come in sometime? And I said, yeah, thank you. I said, could the afternoon be okay? I said, tomorrow, because I still got my job. Yeah, no problem. So I went up and I'll never forget, I was sitting beside her in the office and she's going through the contract with me and she's going through the money. We finally came to the money and she's going, and she showed me the money, which is 4,000 something before tax. And I was looking at this like, this is
a joke or something.
Yeah, it was a joke. Like, are you for real? Are you serious? Yes. I said, well, what would that be after tax? And she goes, I don't know, maybe 2,800, 900. And I was still in disbelief. She said, are you okay? If you're happy with it, will you sign here? And I was literally shaken. I'm not joking. I was literally shaken because it just sounded too good to be true, even though I was looking at it. And I said, and she could see me shaking. I said, can I do an X? Not really, no, you have to sign. So I'll never forget, I literally had to hold my wrist with my left hand and do a bit of a sign. And I still was in disbelief, to be honest with you. And then she said to me, now, when you walk out of the office, turn right, go over to the warehouse, and Johnny will be over there, and you'll get 3 pairs of trousers, 3 tops, and a new pair of boots. And I was like, are you for real? With my mouth open. It's like back in England and Ireland, we buy our own stuff, So I went over there and collected all this uniforms, and I was disbelief. I treated myself to a taxi back to Perth. Rang my mum, and I kind of won I'd feel I'd won the lottery, So anyway, went up my first job up in Christmas Creek. Went up there, put my head down, and of course, obviously you're trying to put on a good impression. And obviously, when you're nailing ply or nailing a deck, like you're bent over. I'll never forget that the helmet. I was literally, it's like turning on a tap. The water was coming from my helmet, dripping, and I didn't know, but the supervisor was checking on me, like, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Keeping the good impression on, because I want to keep the job. And then eventually they called me over. We've seen your CV. We see what you can do. He said, please take it easy. We don't want you to fall over. It's very important to look after yourself up there. And we need you to keep drinking water. So that was fine. And yeah, that was the start of me kicking off here in Australia.
Wow. And do you think any of this would have ever happened if your friend didn't do this?
Probably not, because we didn't fully believe him, but we have that thing in Ireland, and you believe a person then when they've done that, because I'm a Christian myself and my faith is important. There's no point in telling lies, because for me it's bad karma.
Absolutely.
I'm a big karma believer, and I'm a big believer in doing the right thing and saying the right thing, because if you're one of the other people, well, why are the jails full?
No, absolutely.
That's what I say. It's a big belief. It's a big thing for me to be a decent human being. Say I'm repeating myself. Say the right thing, do the right thing, and you'll prosper and go places in life. Which I'm not meaning to blow my own trumpet, but I have done and turned my life around. So yeah.
And I think such basic things that a lot of people lack nowadays. It can get you really far in life. Giving firm handshakes. Greeting people, saying yes, thank you, please, doing what you meaning what you say, it definitely gets you to places as well. And it seems like you've had quite a diverse journey so far getting to Australia, just getting to Australia alone. And it sounds like quite a bit of tribulation and adversity. Do you think that it's built a significant amount of resilience within yourself now that resides inside of yourself?
Well, I would say so, but I think you have to have it too in you, because there is some other people, especially with mental health, if they don't have a person to guide them or show them a way, like I don't think I would probably be here today if it wasn't the guidance of a lovely lady, a friend of my mum, who put me in the direction of The Secret, and a very good book by Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. And she then passed me and asked me to go and see a friend of hers who was into hypnosis. And because if I wasn't put that way, I don't think I'd probably be here today, because we all need a helping hand in life. And if you're not strong enough and you're going through tough times, be it losing a loved one like I did to cancer, and a baby before that, and then the financial toll it takes on you, like, it's a lot to take mentally. And if you don't have supportive friends or a family, you're nearly, in my opinion, 90% doomed. Because it's very, very hard to pick yourself up individually without having a good family member or a parent or a good friend, you know. So that lady to me saved my life.
Wow.
Because from that day forward, then I just prospered. I pray every morning anyway. It's the thing I've done all my life, because I've never had anyone in my life. I'm the oldest of 6, looking after my mother. I really never had a father, only was there. So I kind of nearly had nowhere to turn to. When I was at school, the teacher always said, in the religious class we had, you know, you can always pray, riding your bike, whatever, and God is always listening to you and he'll always help you. So because I had no one, and I thought, well, if she's saying this and it's true, well, I'm going to do this, and hopefully my day is going to be good. And my day is going to be good, because when I did it in the morning, I was living in faith and hope that my day would be good and he'd look after me.
Changing an atmosphere.
Yeah. And which did happen in ways. And then obviously when I came into the Secret and the Law of Attraction, well, my life just absolutely changed. Like, because when I came here with £60,000 of debt, I managed to wipe it out in just under 2 years. Then bought a lovely house in Caversham a year later.
Would you say the mining in Australia played a big role in that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If it wasn't for the mining, I'd probably be still in debt or serious challenges. But like, you still had to be strong to do that work.
Definitely.
You know, because back in 14 years ago when I first came here, I was doing 28 and 7.
Yeah, 28 days on, 7 days off.
7 days off. And as a fresh person from Europe, get stuck into 40 degrees heat and you're expected to kick ass all day long. I'm telling you,
big challenge.
It's a big challenge. Then you go back to Wodonga and you're living on your own. And then for me, I've never been a drinker or a smoker, or which most of men do. And then when you're in the atmosphere, which in construction, it's a lot to do with drink, smoke, drugs.
Especially in the mining industry.
Drink, smoke, drugs, women, gambling. You know, for a person like me, you don't have many friends. Because if you don't have that negative attitude or mindset, well, I'm like the guy at the end of the room, or the guy at the end of the bar, or the guy at the end of the room reading a book.
I respect that though.
Yeah.
Authentic.
Yeah, well, a lot of guys don't in my industry of working. And I've tried many things to move away, but when you've got financial commitments, it's unfortunately it's hard. But I'm getting there. I changed I'm a life coach now, and I've done many things since. And just after finishing a book, please God, that'll open up more avenues, and I can teach more. Like I get a great kick out of teaching young people, especially about money management as well. Because money's very important. Money plays a big part of life. Because if you taught or shown to be very good with your money and disciplined, it takes a lot of stress out of your future. Because a lot of people today have only one bank account, maybe 2, and they see 10, 20 grand in there and they go, I'm loaded. Let's go on holiday. Let's go to the casino. Let's do this and that. But in reality, they're not loaded, because when you have something happen drastically in your life, like it's happened to me, and you need the expenses to pay for a funeral, like I've had twice, it's not cheap.
Not at all.
And you need $10,000-$15,000 for a funeral. And if that was to happen in your life, and I want to say it is going to happen, sadly, in everybody's life, because we're all going to pass. And your parents, go before you, and you've got an accident might happen in your family. You might lose when you're a child or whatever. You kind of have to have that. I call it the emergency account.
Yeah.
Have to have it there. It saves a bit of embarrassment for you and your family if you don't have to have it there, and you have to go asking. So, yeah, I've read many books since Rich Dad Poor Dad, Barefoot Investor, and I'm a great believer in as he says, having those 6 bank accounts.
Oh, it's really important.
Absolutely, because it's down to discipline. Because if you were having a bullying situation at work, for example, like I had in Christmas Creek, and if that money's there, and if you got that money in your bank account, you can stand there at work and go, I won't do it. But if you know what I mean, put your finger in that direction, speak your mind, have confidence, speak your mind to that boss and say, good luck, see you later. Have a nice day. But sadly, in this world, most people are not in a position to do that. And they get into a position nervously and mentally, and they have to hang on to the job and hang on to the job. They can eventually leave, but they're having to put themselves in they're in that position when they're having to put up with the bullying. So, yeah.
Would you say that mindset plays a really big part in your life then?
Now
and since the beginning?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I know that you're talking about also, you would be that individual you're explaining before at the end of the bar, just reading a book. Yeah. Would you say that, since you've got a flow and you've paid debt and you've got yourself to a position now where you don't have to worry about too much things or things are not as hard as they were before, would you say that now you've opened up to expanding your network? Friends, socializing more, because now you can focus on that a bit, because before you couldn't because of the busyness of life, coming here, moving here, money, trying to make money, paying off debt.
My life is way much better. I mean, because I've done so much charity work over there since 2015, I cycled down to Mandra for the Harry Perkins Medical Centre, 2015, with a few more 100 people. I was one of the highest fundraisers. I raised $40,000. And then obviously I couldn't believe when I was coming up to my 50th birthday. I was 49 before that, obviously. But I was seeing my next birthday, my God, I'm going to be 50. I was going to myself, you paranoidly look in the mirror and think, really, am I going to be 50? And at the end of the day, it's just a number. But for me, with all my baggage that I had been through, suicide attempt, attempted murder of my life in Germany, and losing a baby, 4 years of cancer, then my mom, and what I'd been through my childhood, and having to more or less raise 4 brothers and 1 sister with my mom. I was looking at the mirror and thinking, am I really going to be 50? So I said to myself, right, that's it. Next year I'm going to do something big, even if I don't make 51. I don't care. I'm going to do something big. So I thought, that's what I'll do. I'll cycle to Perth on a push bike from Sydney in memory of my mom and my girlfriend. And I did.
How was that journey?
Oh, that journey was, if you'd have told, as they say, put it out there and don't expect what's going to come. Just put it out there. Like the law of attraction says, just put it out there. Put your mind to doing it. Put out the good. And I have to say probably a thanks to my friend Kevin, because he took me out to my birthday, which is Australia Day. And my boss at the time was a cancer survivor. I worked for Kenny's Construction in Sydney. And we happened to meet him that evening. We were out. And he was, obviously I was getting all these people telling me, you're mad, are you on medication? Are you well? If that's going, you'll never do it, But they didn't know in my head. I didn't answer them. But in my head, I was going watch me,
Love the mindset.
You got to take the abuse. I've learned to take the abuse and criticism as a positive, turn into a positive.
It is.
It's like anything. If you see someone beating up your girlfriend or your family member, whatever, you're not going to just stand there and let them, are you?
No, not at all. No chance.
In my head, been through so much bullying. I don't fight back verbally much anymore. I just keep it quiet And it's very true what they say, action speaks louder than words.
Words. Mm.
So yeah, my boss had said to me then at that night, he said, how much is it going to cost you? And I didn't even think of the money. I didn't care. I was just going to do it and just sacrifice my time to do it. But he said to me, is it going to cost you such a figure? I said, I don't know. And it didn't dawn on me at the time what he was on about. But then I realised afterwards, because he got interrupted with a couple of women, and then the penny dropped that he wanted to help me financially. So we left that night, and Kevin said to me, I'm sorry, Martin, we didn't get you one, we didn't get you drunk. And I said, listen, I said, you've just given me the best birthday present, I think. I think our boss wants to sponsor me. Because he's told me to keep him in the loop. So yeah, to cut the story a bit shorter if you want, I got a phone call then sometime later from his wife, and I was doing all the process anyway, and she wanted the two links of the Think Pink Foundation in Melbourne and the Cancer Care West in Ireland. I was dividing up the money between the Cancer Centre in Ireland and we're near where I live, and one for Think Pink in Melbourne. And he wanted the two links, and I couldn't understand why, because they weren't telling me, which worked out great in the end because it was a nice surprise. So I gave her the links, and my best friend was coming over from England to support me because he lost his brother and he was going to drive the Prado. So I'm doing it on Facebook every second morning, putting my picture up and putting a silly picture of me up in a pink wig and pink outfit and a pink dress. But it's all to draw attraction, you know what I mean? And put a smile on someone's face or laughing at me. But I call smiling and laughing free medication. Yeah, you know, you can't get it from a doctor.
Not at all.
No, just drugs.
And there's nothing but the truth around there.
Yeah, exactly. They just want to keep you medicated, right?
Yeah, money.
Yeah. God. So if finally my friend came over from England, and I rang my boss because he hired the Prado from Coates. So I went round to pick it up, and the Prado was facing out of the garage. So I didn't see what was going on till I had walked in. So my friend and we walked towards the garage, and it was at the graphic designer's place where you all put all the writing on the car. And I walked in, and towards the left-hand side I was walking in, and then it just dawned on me. And as I was walking in, I was seeing it, and my picture was on the back of on the side of the ute, and Think Pink and Cancer Care West Ireland, and the mileage to the kilometres to Melbourne, to Adelaide, to Perth. And I was close to tears, and myself and my boss embraced each other, and I couldn't thank him enough. And it was just amazing. And then I said, look, I'm sorry. I said, I can't thank you enough for this. He said, no, it's not at all. He said, do you realise what you're doing? I said, it's nothing to me, like I said, because of what I've been through losing two loved ones. I said, I'm just getting on a bike and pedal. He said, but do you not realise how far you pedal? I said, I don't think about it. I said, just get on a bike and pedal. Yeah, I said, I'm not thinking about Perth. I got to get to Melbourne. Get to Melbourne.
And that's with everything as well, isn't it? Just get on the bike and pedal.
Well, that's what I explain to people, because you don't think of the 4,000 kilometres. You just get on a bike. What they didn't know, I used to be a very good athlete in my younger days. So in the positivity world, you know about the 3 Ps.
I don't think would you like to explain it to me? To us?
Prior,
do you know what it is?
Prior, plan, prepare. Because if you don't, you get a prior performance.
That's true.
So what they didn't know with my prior plan, prepare was, being a former athlete, it's all about training. And so what they didn't know, what I had planned in my head was, I got on the bike and I did 25k, and I stopped. I had a few minutes, had a good drink of water, half an apple, half an orange or a cucumber or whatever it was, got back on the bike again, another 25k, and another 25k, and stopped. I wasn't just going to get on the bike and just cycle to 4,000k to Perth.
All in one go, yeah.
Yeah, but when you say that to people, which I was, they weren't getting. I had done my my prepare homework.
You
It's
left
like-
them gobsmacked.
Yeah, but they didn't. Yeah, so that's what I did, and that's what got me there. And obviously got to we took off and taken off. I had it in my head. My boss told me to turn on the amber light on top, the utes, so I did. So I took off from Sydney anyway, and my friend was behind me, and we were, unbeknown to us, we were holding up some of the traffic. And next thing, dee-da came along. I thought, oh my God, what have I done wrong? So unbeknown to me and my friend, in Sydney, when you put on the amber light, it is only for emergency services.
Yeah.
And they have to go down to 40k. Now, we didn't know this. So we pulled in, and the cop goes to me, who told you to put on that amber light, and what are you doing? And I got all apologetic, and I told him, I'm cycling to Perth. And he looked at me, said, oh, you're a real smart ass, aren't you? I said, I'm not. I said, I'm telling you the truth. I said, look behind you and you'll find out. Because the youth was behind him, because he was standing. And he looked at the youth and obviously he could see, and obviously I was in pink as well. He said, well, you're really going to Perth? I said, well, I'm not going to flip on Hollywood. I said, it's all on the car. I can see it in front of you. He said, who told you to put on the amber? I said, my boss did. So they knew he was on his phone to his boss. They obviously could see me on CTV, maybe in their room in Sydney, And I said, look, I'm sorry. I said, I need to get to Perth. I said, can I go? He said, yeah, you can go. He said, hold on, I need to talk to you. You go, he said, and he said to my friend, he said, look, he said, you'll have to drive ahead of him. Drive 5k, 10k, pull in, wait for him, and go again. He said, you can't do this, he said, because you're going to hold up the traffic, So that was fine. We got going, and that was it. Got to Melbourne, and because the Think Pink was in Melbourne, they were waiting for me in Melbourne. And about 2 kilometres before Melbourne, the Think Pink have a pink Volkswagen. So they wanted to meet me and escort me into Melbourne, which they did. And there was TV cameras there. There was a couple of Liberal politicians there. There was a big contingent of photography people there, and it was a bit overwhelming, but it was.
Did they all find out
nice.
by mouth, like the support the TV crews, all that stuff? Was it all like word of mouth that they heard about you doing this?
Well, the Think Pink people all told them as well. Yeah.
And when you're riding the bicycle so far, do you know when you're running or jogging, sometimes certain thoughts pop up in your head, maybe you use it as a motivation, but sometimes you get into a zone when you're riding a bicycle very far. Did you have like a certain thought, like an image or something that was motivating on the journey of riding the bicycle?
I did, yeah. I probably had 3 things. I had a deep desire to raise as much money as I could for these 2 places, for them to keep up their work for people that were really, really suffering. And I had my mom and my girlfriends. I had my mom and my girlfriend in my head that they were in Perth waiting for me in Langley Park, where I was going to arrive. And I got to get to Perth because they're there. And that was my motivation to do this and achieve this in their memory for my 50th birthday.
And I'm really happy. Wow. And Johnny, would you do something like this? Like ride your bike to Perth to Sydney?
Like I said, if being through what you've been through, it's definitely something that would come up. You just want to help others.
Yeah, because it's opened up so many avenues for me. It's opened up for me. I got jobs because my name has been known. When I got that night in Melbourne, the Think Pink gave us accommodation in a hotel. I wasn't in the hotel 10 minutes, and I was doing a radio interview. She had organised a radio interview with me. Another one guy wanted a newspaper interview, and I was like, it was very overwhelming, but it was nice, and it was feeling like I was getting a bit of credit for what I was doing, but I wasn't really expecting it because it was nothing to me, but I suppose I was doing good and encouraging people, obviously, maybe to do good, So the next day then was to head off to Adelaide.
How long did it take you to get to Melbourne?
Probably a week. Sorry, Johnny, I won't be able to tell you exactly. Yeah. But so then off to Adelaide, and I had the plan to change the tyres in Adelaide. I mean, the man above had to be looking down on me, because I swear to God, I didn't pump the tyres once.
The whole
From Sydney to Adelaide.
Damn.
And I didn't get a puncture.
That's
Nothing,
Martin
right?
was unhinged. There was no stopping.
Yeah.
No stopping. I went into the bike shop and I said to myself, I'll change the tyres in Adelaide because I've got to go to Perth. And the man said to me, you haven't had a puncture, you haven't pumped the tyres up. No, not once. He said to me, exact words was, he said, someone's looking out for you. I said, I know. I pointed to the sky. I said, he's up there. I said, my mum and my girlfriend's looking down on me too. He said, well, they are. He said, because how we haven't got a puncture? You cycled from Sydney. Like, he was kind of in disbelief. So I left my bike there. And as I came back to the car, Channel 9 studio was over on the left-hand side. And I said to my friend, John, I said, John, what do you think? Do you think it's a bit cheeky if I go over there? I said, and try and get a bit of publicity and we can get more money. If I can go for it. So I went over, and I think it was on the second or third floor, and I walked in and told them what I was doing. And I'll make a phone call. We'll get someone to interview when you're taking off tomorrow, Martin. And I said, are you serious? No, definitely.
So what platforms have you been onto so far? Like, what platforms have you been recognised by? Like newspaper, if you could go over that for a second as well. Like, what platforms have you recognised?
That was Channel 9 at the time. And when I landed in Langley Park, Western Australia newspaper were waiting for me there. And to my shock, I didn't think it was going to happen so fast, that when I woke up Monday morning, John, my best friend, said to me, he had gone for a walk, because I was still in bed, and bought the local paper, or the Western Australia, and he said to me, yeah, I think you need to come and look at this. I said, what? And there I was, all over the second page, a full half of the second page.
Exciting.
Yeah, and then a newspaper lady from another paper came to interview me, and then obviously Take 5 Ladies Magazine, they rang me up and wanted to pay me $500 for a 2-page interview.
That's pretty good.
Can't go wrong with that.
No,
Is that the book that you're in? The actual book?
No. That's the magazine, not a book.
Oh, yeah, sorry, the magazine.
Yeah.
So is there like a photo of you there? I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
There's
awesome.
my mom as well.
And how long ago was this picture taken? Like, what year do you think?
2018.
2018.
Langley Park.
I would have been about 17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was me on my bike there
And you said that's your mother as well?
in the picture there.
The picture? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. I love that.
Beautiful.
Representing
That's
the
a
family.
whole page just for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 pages, yeah.
Wow.
I met this young German guy. He was going to Sydney. I met him there.
Oh, yeah. And he was riding his bike as well.
He was riding his bike to Sydney. I met another guy going to Sydney. He was 69 years of age from Japan. On his own.
69.
69.
Damn.
Going to Sydney with broken English as well.
Sometimes you got to do these things, I think, in life. You got to really take a risk. Well, sometimes it doesn't have to even be a risk, but just push yourself to, I guess, experience this different side of life. But especially you're doing it for a journey because you want to impact people, you want to inspire people, but also it's a fuel. And I liked what you said before about turning a negative into a positive.
Yeah.
Like, I sort of can relate to you a little bit because a couple of years ago I lost my girlfriend to cancer as well. And sometimes through the hard times, I can use it as a bit of a fuel because I think about, okay, the people that I know in my life that have passed away so far, what would they say to me if they were sitting next to me at the table? They'd say, Jaden, you got to move on. You got to go achieve in life. You have to be the best version of yourself.
Correct.
So anything can definitely be changed into a positive, because that negative energy, if you fuel it into something positive, it's now going to change into that positive anyways.
Yeah, and they'd be proud of you too, like, you know. Because I remember when I was going through South Australia, and this is, I have to show you this to believe it. Going through South Australia, I couldn't believe I was coming up riding away, and next thing I came up to this sign, and it said Wakefield and Dublin. And like, my mom was from Dublin, and her name is Claire. And then I came to the next sign post. I came to this signpost here on the left-hand side, Wakefield and Dublin. I thought, what the hell is Dublin doing in the south of Australia? Right?
It's a prophetic word.
So then I kept going, and then it looked like a leprechaun at the time, which is our Irish symbol. Welcome to Dublin. I'm thinking, what's going on here? So then, after a while, I stopped and I done my journey, and John and I went for a drive, put the bike in the back of the car, and we came to a fork in the road. And up on the garden, on the fork in the road, was my mom's name.
Oh,
That's unbelievable.
Wow, that's like the prophetic. That's like a prophecy.
And it's
Such
like,
a coincidence. You know?
Yeah.
how could that be? Like, you know,
Goes to show that they're actually
There's
watching
something
down
going
on
on,
you.
yeah.
There's something going on.
there's something going on.
More than
To
just
be in
the
that
reality.
to be in that place, that position, at the exact time that you're doing the ride.
You know, because I got to Perth, no puncture, didn't pop no tires, but there is a but. 2 stops to go. 2 stops to go to Perth, and I don't know if you know the railway tracks across the road. They went this way instead of straight across. And being typical me, I decided to go for it, and it didn't work out, and I fell anyway, and I landed on the ground. I'll never forget the way I landed on the ground. It was like I was like Jesus Christ on the cross, you know. I landed in such a way where I was flat on my back and my hands wide open, and I felt like a baby. You know when a baby is going to get up and crawl, and I felt like that's the way I'm going to have to get up here, and I hope there's nothing broken. So those few seconds before I moved, I was praying there's no one broken.
Yeah.
I need to get to Perth. And there was lots of traffic coming the other side, and John, my friend, was behind me, thankfully. And this lorry was coming, he was braking and screeching and braking, thinking he was going to hit me. And my friend John told me once he saw him, and he let go again, and there was cars coming and looking down on the road. Are you okay? And I scratched my left knee, and it was pumping blood. And this is weird, like, we laugh at this, like, you know, the one thing I didn't take with me, a first aid box. We can laugh now, like, you know, but I did have a towel. So we got the water anyway, we soaked it down with water, put the towel around it, and John, my friend, said, come on, hop in. I said, no, I'm not finished yet. He said, you're not getting back on the bike with that cut. He said, I said, I'm not finished yet. So I knew kind of I was a bit mad and stupid to get back on the bike again, but I did anyway. I'm cycling up the road, and I'm half conscious of my knee pouring blood, and I'm half conscious of wanting to finish and getting infected. And I kept going anyway, and on my left-hand side there was like a horseshoe where you could drive in and have a pit stop.
Yeah.
So I kept going, and what is coming the other way? An ambulance.
For
So-
you specifically?
Oh, well, it's coming the other way right now. I can't believe this. This is another flipping call sign. So he's passing me by, and I was a bit shy to wave him down or not. So I picked up the courage, and as he was passing by, I did this, and I looked behind me, and obviously he looked in the mirror because he put the indicator on and turned left into the area, and I just couldn't believe my stroke of luck. I turned around, cycled in, and I apologised to him. He said, what are you saying sorry for? Will you hop in there? He said, this is what I do. He said, hop in there. Hopped into the ambulance, and he bandaged up my leg, and we took a few pictures and couldn't thank him enough. He couldn't be a nicer man. And yeah, so, you know, headed into Perth then, and the Western Australian newspaper was ringing my friend John. When is he arriving? Because I had 2 o'clock in my head, you know. And then we had to go down this big hill, this massive hill, on the way into Perth. And I literally, I don't know why, was it me or the bike or what? I was literally shaking. And I was going from left to right and left to right like this. And I think, if I fall off this, that's it. Because it was steep, you know, I couldn't control it. Eventually got to the bottom, and the bike was given. And I said to John down, the bike's buggered. It must be from the fall. And I did bring a spare bike.
Came prepared. Preparation.
Yeah, the 3Ps, always do your 3Ps. So anyway, we changed it over anyway and got into Perth, and lots of my friends, or lots of people that knew me were there. It was good because I turned into the corner to cross the bridge into Perth. A few people were waiting in the distance with their cars, and came up behind me and beeping me on and shouting me in on the street, and everybody then was looking at me in pink and seeing the car, and more people were hurraying and turned into Langley Park, and about 20, 30 friends of mine were there waiting for me and greeting me, and lots of people were doing Facebook Lives and taking pictures, and it was nice. All done then,
It's good to have that support behind you for such a good cause as well.
Yeah.
Would you say what has shaped your character, your wins or your hardship?
I say my hardship.
Definitely.
Yeah.
The stuff you've been through. And
I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys today if it wasn't, because I suppose if I didn't go through all that, I wouldn't be going through the achievements I've achieved today, raising all that money for the Harry Perkins place and Think Pink in Canterbury, Western Ireland, and as I'm about to do another bike ride in May for suicide awareness, I wouldn't be doing this because my life would be okay. I suppose a lot of people that have achieved greatness in life, nothing has been given to them, most people anyway, that by a silver spoon. They've come from the gutter.
Definitely.
And that's really interesting. And I've actually noticed, I know it's counterintuitive. I know that some people might go through serious amounts of hardship and it might break them. Although I usually think sometimes the most kindest and softest people, diamonds, pressure creates diamonds. I think sometimes the most nicest people you come across are the people that's, like you said, they've come from the gutter, they've come from adversity. Would it be fair to say from your perspective that adversity builds men in some way?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. It's a shame we don't have more men today, because unfortunately, at this stage in life, I think men have got weaker. We don't have, especially what we've been through the last 5 years. Yeah,
definitely a certain agenda, which is a whole nother rabbit hole to sort of go down a little bit of attack on masculinity.
Yeah,
and through this journey, I can imagine like losing your girlfriend and like mother and everything. Like, I know that you would have been going through some like mental hardships. Would you say that you experienced like depression at all? Like,
definitely
severe depression? Would you say through that time?
Well, I was, like because of the financial mess I got myself into, borrowing money and property and that, I still have responsibilities. So I'd say I was a lot mixed up in my head between the responsibilities and sadness and depression. And I remember having a conversation with my brother one night. He came round to apologise for acting the way I was. I said to him, "Do you not realise?" I said, "I go to bed, I'm wet my bed every night." And he didn't get me. I said, "I cry myself to sleep." I said, "You live round the corner, you don't give a hoot." I said, "You just come and ringing around now to apologise because you realise you got found out and you were in the wrong." I said, "How do you know I could do something silly, which I tried to do once? Or come around and even have a cup of tea with me or say, how are you getting on?" And that was a big eye-opener for him, but some people sadly have to be told. It's not in their savvy to look out for a loved one or to look out for a family member,
People are stuck in their own world sometimes as well. And
yeah, well, I put it down to, in my family, they call it genes, and I
epigenetics.
Epigenetics, but I'm a bit of a disbeliever in that too, because in my belief, especially, and I think I'm a good example of that, we all have a brain, we all know right from wrong, and we all have feelings, and so why can't some family members not be so selfish and step up? And why do you expect it? Because, like I have been the older brother, expect everything from me, and you don't need to help me because Martin is Superman or whatever. But it doesn't pay to come and pay a visit or pick up the phone and say, "Oh, how's your day going?" Like, I have a particular brother that texts. And I just say to people, when I do my coaching, I just say to people, if you really care for a family member or for a friend, get off the text and get off your messenger and pick up the phone and say hello. Because I can tell you from experience, the person receiving the call that's not in a good place, it's a hell of a feeling to get a call from someone that cares and say, "How are you going? How are you getting on? Would you would you like to pop up for a coffee and cake, as I do call it, or a drink or whatever, or how's your day going? It's a great feeling to get that. Then get these silly text messages that everybody does today and WhatsApp and all this. To me, like, it doesn't serve any purpose.
It's making people more naive, but more people just stuck in their own worlds and not actually connecting, human connection.
Yeah, because sadly we're losing our old-fashioned connections. Like, it's you go to a restaurant today, or you go to work for me, for example. People don't talk anymore. They're all on their iPhone.
Oh yeah.
It's sadly where mental health has gone as well. Like, you know,
it is. It's only increasing as well, and it's something I actually noticed on my journey because I just went to meet my father for the first time last year in Africa. My very first time physically. I've been raised here with my Scottish side of the family. African side, I've never met any of them. Went for my first time last year, but long story short, I was on the flight to Dubai, and technically I sat down. My phone was in my pocket away, and I just literally looked at everyone. Everyone was on their phone, and I actually started journaling about the importance of meditation, being able to put away all these coping mechanisms so we can actually understand self, your internal world. I think people are so stuck with the external and the conquest of outside rather than looking within or the human connection. And something that ties back to what you said before, I think unity is such an important thing. Like you said, something that brought you out that hard time was connection, with that girl as well, someone saying something to you. So that's really important.
Yeah.
So with your journey, the pink actually, something I didn't really catch before. What does the pink actually represent?
Well, pink is cancer, the cancer awareness colours.
Okay.
So when I did my bike ride, and before that I thought to up my game and get an attraction. And obviously when people are looking at Facebook and stuff like that, when you're highlighting attraction and looking silly or whatever, people get a laugh out of it and it attracts them. So I have a pink wing in the car. I have 2 pink hats showing you here. And now if I don't wear the pink hat, I get that pink hat cost me $5. But I'm telling you now, from a branding point of view, that pink hat is worth millions.
The brand is a personal brand of yours.
It shows who you are as a character.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and to be honest with you, another example of as I do colour, as I do say to people about colour, and I have a very big dislike for black because of especially with mental health. Because to me, and having buried 2 loved ones, to me, black is a dead colour. There's no disrespect to you guys. It's a dead colour. There's no life in it. So just to give you an example with my pink, I'd always get years ago when I first started, oh, why are you wearing pink? Why are you a bloke wearing a pink? And I was loving it because it brought out the cancer conversation.
Definitely.
Colour.
And then my story and whatnot. And then they get a bit apologetic. And because I have lots of cancer-killing products that I can help cancer with, I share that journey. And I've helped a lot of people recover from cancer with everything that I've learned over the years and known. So the same goes for mental health and suicide awareness. The two colours are yellow and blue for suicide awareness, which I'll be wearing next month. So I do say to people, even blokes, I say, look, be like a woman. Wear colours that you like if you have a reason behind them, because it brings out the light.
Intentions, yeah.
Intentions, so I think it's very important.
And that makes a lot of sense what you said.
Because people smile. So sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay.
When people especially women and your girlfriends or wives, you always comment about, oh, you've got a lovely dress on today. I love all those colours. Yeah, and if you see a nice woman walking the streets and that dress catches your eye, or you know what I mean, or you might see it for your girlfriend or your wife, it brings out that's what I think anyway.
It's a good perspective. And even when you look at AFL, I remember when I was younger and playing football, when someone would pass away in someone's family, you'd wear the black
strip,
but it sort of makes sense of something more colourful, like pink, blue, something that's more bright, because it brings life into
cheerful,
something.
that's cheerful,
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 It's just, black, as much as I like the colour black, it's I guess when you think about something more colourful, like, you know, it makes sense with your aspect and your perspective you're coming with. And Johnny, since we're on the topic of mental health, I just thought I'd ask anyways, have you experienced any type of mental health before? Hardships
Definitely.
and all of that?
Yeah, definitely. I've hit rock bottom before. Lost some close friends to suicide. And, like, there's only one way to deal with it, and that's just moving forward and hoping for the best and checking up on your mates. Like you said, not just by text, by call, meeting up with people, you know, catching up for a coffee or a drink. I'd say the worst thing to do really if you're catching up with someone with depression or like someone that's gone through a rough time is don't invite them out just to go for a drink and stuff. You know, that's just going to make them worse. You know, you're just putting a bad thing into another bad habit. So the best thing to do is probably just sit there and listen. Listening is one of the main things you can do.
Yeah, I'll tell you a quick one. There was an Irish guy, this is nearly 10 years ago. He was having trouble with his wife back in Ireland. He was working here, we were working together. And he confided in me, and his son tried to commit suicide. Thankfully, it didn't work. So obviously, I had known a good bit about personal development and The Secret and Louise Hay and all that. I actually accidentally met him in a shopping centre. And I have this thing of, I call it coffee and cake. Come on, let's have a coffee and cake, you know. And I do the intention and I make sure I buy it. Right, and even if they don't want it or they don't know what to get or whatever, I'll pick it anyway, right?
Yeah.
Because they're not in a good place and they feel embarrassed. So it's because I know that from being experienced, so I go ahead and buy it anyway. I mean, what's $10 for a coffee and cake when you can cheer someone up or listen to the story and you might be able to benefit them, you know? So we had that there and we went to part our ways. And he was going one way and I was going the other, and we had to part. And the sad, embarrassing part was at that moment, I always hug, and we went for the old man hug to say goodbye, and the poor man just cracked and broke down crying. It was in the middle of a shopping centre, and I haven't told you this story yet about the green stone, the gratitude stone that I have always carried for the last 10 years. So I didn't know what to do. I was kind of panicking. And I went straight to my pocket and took out this green stone. And I said, John, please take this. And he asked me what it is. I said, just take it, please. Don't put it between your money. Don't put it between your keys. Put it in your pocket. I said, life's going to be great. Your son is going to be good. You're going to be good. I said, please just listen to me. Watch The Secret. Read Louise Hay. Get into your son's hand, I said, and life will be good. Okay? Go on. Go away home and have a nice day. Well, he did. He went home and he went back to Ireland. And that Christmas, I was driving to my house in Caversham at 5 o'clock in the morning on New Year's Day after having a good night. And I was about 100 yards from my house and my phone went. And I didn't recognise the number, so because it being the New Year, I thought one of my family members back in Ireland. So I picked it up, and it was John. And he goes, Martin? I went, yeah, you remember me? Oh, I said, oh yeah. I said, how are you? He said, listen, I just want to be one of the first people who wish you a Happy New Year. You actually saved my son's life. He's alive today and he's thriving. And if it wasn't for you, he said, I don't know where he'd be. So he said, I just want to be one of the first ones to wish you a Happy New Year. And I wish you all the best for the great New Year ahead of you.
Amen.
Very wholesome.
So I just drove into the garage. I wasn't even in my house. I just drove into the garage. I sat in my car with shock and a bit of smile on my face and headed to bed and felt good, you know.
Can't go wrong with that feeling.
No, you can't go, you know.
They're the kind of things that you chase when you're doing something like you're doing, you know. The moments from the people that you help, of them actually acknowledging the help. You know?
One regret I have had, but you don't think of it at the time, I've had so many nice testimonials said about me. If I had asked them to write an email of it, and I'd have a lovely little testimonial book by now, but you don't think of that at the time. No. Anyway, it's all good, yeah. Look, I enjoy what I do because it gives me great pleasure, because you know you're making a difference and you could be saving a life, which is very important, because when someone goes, sadly, it's not just that person, it's a ripple effect. Friends suffer, family members suffer, for days and weeks on end. You know, it's a financial cost. You know, to find the money for that person to be sent away, or you know, the bereavement and all the rest of it, and time off work, bills have to be paid. There's a lot involved when sadly someone leaves us. It just doesn't end with that person going. And friends and family, well, you know all about it. You've told me a bit of your story I didn't know, but like, so I think it's important, you know, people need to step up today, especially strong people need to step up today, because I am of the personal opinion the world has gone a bit more selfish.
Yep.
And it's just about me. And because I even say hello to people walking the street and they look at me shocked with two heads as if like, who are you talking to?
Like you're an alien or something, yeah.
Even when I give smiles when I go to the shop, sometimes I'm just like, you know, quite unkind person. If people make eye contact, I'd be like, you know, smile, but some people just straight face.
Yeah.
It's just like
they're in another world, like, and it's sad the way things have gone, but it won't change. It won't stop me. I'll keep doing what I'm doing.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
That's a very sentimental and very powerful story you've shared so far, and especially your journey. I think it's very empowering, especially for our audience, for us specifically, you know, experiencing this with you, interviewing you. I think it's, you know, been amazing so far as well. And through some of your rides, what do you think has been one of your most like powerful moments?
Powerful. Well, I met one lady in the wheat belt in the outback in South Australia, and the Nullarbor. We went in and going back before that, we went in to get diesel, fill up the car with diesel, and of course I was in pink, and John my friend was filling up the ute with diesel, and of course it did stand out because it was all decorated. So this particular man stopped me, and I had a suicide awareness. I had a suicide awareness band on my wrist. And he asked me, and I was a cancer awareness band on my wrist as well. He said, what are you doing? So I told him the story. He said, so he gave me $50 worth of diesel, and I thanked him very much and what have not. And we were staying in Roadhouse's accommodation along the way. So we said goodbye and thanks very much, and I went for my lie down. And we exchanged numbers, and he called me. He said, Bartlett, he said, I'm very inspired by what you're doing. He said, I didn't tell you, he said, but I'm a life coach. Oh, I said, okay, I said, very good. He said, I'd love to interview you. Oh, I said, well, I said, right now, I said, I'm lying in my bed, and I said, I'm freaking knackered, and I said, I'm all dirty and smelly, and, you know. I said, give me an hour, I said, and I'll shower. He said, no, I said, please come the way you are, because I'm going to do a Facebook Live, and I want people to see the way you are, so that they'll know the way. I said, okay, so I said, give me 5 minutes. So it was a bit daunting for me because, you know, you're not used to all this kind of stuff. So we went out there, and obviously he led the way like you guys are here, and asked me the questions, and I just did my thing. And he said, I promise you, I'll edit it as quick as I can. I'll get it to you, and I will get it out there on Facebook, see you kind of get you some more donations. So in between that, I had my phone on silent. And my John and I had gone for dinner. Never dawned on me. Then I'd finished my dinner, and I was just so tired. I looked at my phone, and there was like, you know, even though you can't hear it, I could see message after message and calls and missed calls. I thought, shit, John, what's going on here? I turned on the phone, and he had put the video out on Facebook, and it went up to 2,000 views in an hour. I was going, and I showed John, he said, I told you where he goes. He always jokes about me going to Hollywood. I told you we were going to Hollywood. I said, shut up. It's a private joke, you know.
Pulling legs.
So, yeah, so it was getting comments and views and likes all over Facebook. And yeah, so then we stopped off another place along the way to have dinner. And this lady came to us and said, oh, you just passing through? Because I had the pink top on. And I said, no, I'm a suicide survivor. I said, I lost my girlfriend to cancer, whatever. And she had a suicide awareness wrist on her. She said, I lost my son to suicide. She said, here, I want you to take this. I said, no, I can't take that. I said, that's yours. No, she said, please, what you're doing. She said, I'm doing nothing. I'm just here on my farm. She said, I want you to take this because of my son. And what you're doing is creating awareness. She said, do you realise what you're doing? I said, I do and I don't. I said, I've been through what I've been through. I said, you'll probably appreciate more what I'm doing than I'm doing myself. I said, because it's water it does back to me. I said, because of what I've been through. And she said, God love you. She goes to me, please take it, please wear it, and I'll make sure I get some money to your link. And she couldn't thank me enough. Yeah. She'd lost her son to suicide. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like I said to you, if you'd have told me before I got on that bike that I was going to end up in Channel 9 studio in Adelaide and have my picture taken and the Western Australian newspaper and paid $500 for a Take 5 interview and to go into Woolworth shopping centre and to pick it up and buy it, and there I am in it. Like, it's like when you don't expect things, it's a bit surreal, you know. And what I would say is to people is to do good without thinking, because you never know what good comes back to you. And as I am a massive believer in karma, good does come back to you. But some people expect it too quick, but just don't even think about it.
About the expectations.
Don't expectations, yeah. Just be patient with life and just keep doing the good and keep doing the good. And you'd be very surprised subconsciously, well, how come this door opened? How come I got that phone call? You know, what's going on? You know? And it does happen, you know?
A lot of people are so oblivious of it, but they think karma, they believe in karma, but they don't see the good that comes. No. They're so oblivious and so focused on the bad things that happen in their life that the good things just fly by.
Yeah. What you believe in, you give it power. So you may as well focus on giving power to things that actually benefit you. And I think, you know, it definitely goes to today's society anyways. In Western culture, people want things quickly. It's about now.
They're impatient, and there's too much materialistic stuff here in the Western world. Too much. Like when I first went to Thailand, my second or third year from being here, I'm not kidding you, I went to see my brother. He was there, and he was outside this hospice where it was cheap and cheerful, and there was a field across the way. And I was outside waiting for him, and I looked across the field, and I saw a galvanised hut in the distance in the corner of the field. And next thing I saw this young baby, or good enough to walk around with no clothes on. And then I saw the mother come out half naked. And it really just, what I was looking at, just dawned on me what I was looking at. And I didn't mean to cry, but tears would come from my eyes realising what I was looking at. They were living in a galvanised tin hat hut with bugger all to their name in a field. Then when my brother came along, he said, guess what the bathroom is? I said, I don't know. He said, a hole in the ground. I was gone. And I said to him, I said, you know what? A couple of years' time, I said, I'm going to come back here with a few $1,000s and just blow it and give it to them. And then the taxi driver took us to another place, and it was just like... And I said it ever since, and this is no disrespect to any Australian out there or anyone, but I just thought, with all the whinging and whining I hear in Australia and other places about this and that and this and that.
The internet turning off or something. Oh.
Yeah, I don't have this, and why can't Daddy, why can't Mammy, and I can I have this, and why can't Daddy, can I have this? Oh, can you not buy me a pair of trainers for $100 or $200? Do you know what the best thing would be for a lot of kids? When they finish school, they go to Bali, Thailand, Cambodia for a month maybe, or 2 months.
And live like them.
And live like them. And then come back home and be so appreciative then of what we have here in Australia. It's such a lovely country. You know, because my God, like...
I experienced that in Africa actually recently too. Yeah, I was showering sometimes because of power in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe, it's rich in land, like diamonds and everything as well, but the currency at the moment, like it's USD, they don't even have their own currency at the moment, and it's literally hardship. Like there's no work, there's no jobs, nothing at the moment. Even with the power, it turns off quite consistent. You can still make a good living there if you got outside income coming in, or if you got a business or something. But there were even times at my gogo, which is grandma in Shona, like technically the power or the water wasn't coming through completely as well. So sometimes I was even showering with buckets. A warm bucket of water, bucket of water, you know, and cold and things like that. Having a little bit of water coming through, a little bit of pressure, but like, you definitely
Just
see a
goes
lot
to
of
show
hardship.
what we got here. You have to be grateful for what you got.
Absolutely.
Roof over your head, food on the table, you know. Even like Indonesia and stuff like them third world countries, it's sad to see that, like, they do live like this. I tell a lot of people, like, you can't go out and get Macca's for dinner or Macca's for lunch. What about the people that don't even get dinner and lunch? You know, like, you got to understand there's a lot more to be grateful for than not getting what you want.
Absolutely.
And what I find quite shocking here is even in a lot of restaurants here in Australia, a lot of people, you see, they get up and they leave after dinner.
Yeah.
I think, like,
Everything, a lot goes to waste.
And are you for real? You're after paying $50 or whatever that, and you're going to walk away and leave it like in Ireland when I'd be growing up with my mom and the family. You didn't leave the table until you had all your dinner. And if you didn't need it all, you got it the next day.
Yeah. That's how I was raised as well by my grandma when I was younger, my mum and everything too. Yeah.
Especially with my veggies.
Yeah, veggies.
If you don't eat your veggies, you don't leave the table. You get nothing. No TV, nothing.
Yeah, discipline, it's good. It's something we need. I think we're in a society nowadays as well, once again, to link it back to Western culture, where it's just like giving too much power to kids, where it's like they're sort of like the boss in the household. It's like, no, you're a child. You listen to me. This is the authority figure, and you're going to do your push-ups before you get something like this. You know, now it's just sort of like the kid gets to like balance of power. You know, the kid gets a debate about what they want to do. It's like, no, you're 10 years old. You're going to eat your food. You're going to listen. Simple as that. I know that sounds a bit like, you know, authoritarian, but it's
no, it's true, and I think it should be, because my personal belief, and I know I'm probably speaking out of tone here because I'm not a parent, but it's just in my observation that parents are gone way too soft today and they give in too easy and too quick.
It's always yes, never no.
Yeah.
They always tell their kids yes.
Absolutely. So I wanted to ask a question. So I know you said something about surviving an attempted murder. Do you reckon you could explain about like what was the basis around like the attempted murder? Was it physical? Was it something else?
Well, I opened up my own construction company in Berlin, in Germany, 1997, and I took on this good job, and I'm not the best with reading drawings because I've just never learned. I grew up the old-fashioned way in construction, mostly the practical stuff. So I hired this guy. He gave me the big spiel. He could do this, he could read this, he could do anything, one of these bluffers. And I sadly fell for it. And then one day, it was pretty cold in Berlin at the time. It was in January. And I asked him would he get me some Lemsip, that he had already got it. And we were taking at the time because a lot of us had the cold and the flu and that. Because it was an inch of snow on the ground, but we still went to work anyway, you know. So this particular day, when he planned to do what he did, he decided to go to leave work at 3 o'clock. And I asked him to make me a cup of tea. And this was in a container, these construction containers, I don't know if you know what I mean. So one side of the container was the fridge and the kettle, and the other side was, I was there on the table doing my paperwork. So he made it for me, he came down, he put it right in front of me. Now, it would, for me to explain to you, as a friend or a fellow worker or whatever, if I made you a cup of tea, I trust that you made me a cup of tea, right? I wouldn't examine it. So I just kind of picked it up, and while I was doing what I was doing, I just kind of picked it up, half looking at it, and down the hatch, unbeknown what was in it. So he was going at 3 o'clock and went home, and I said goodbye to him, and I happened to go to the round the back container, walk down to the job, say hello to the lads, everything going up fine. And I remember putting my right hand up against a column and looking up at the crane and going, and subconsciously going, is that crane shaking or am I shaking? And something told me, get out of here, get back up the container, something's not right with me, you know? So I went back and I sat down. Next thing I started getting really cold. Next thing I started shaking and feeling like getting sick. And one of my Irish friends came, he said, "Man, what's wrong with you?" I said, "I don't know. I don't know what's come over me. I don't know." So then he got the German supervisor and they rang the ambulance. And they could see like I was really getting into a bad way. So they came and put me in a wheelchair and strapped me in the wheelchair, got me in the hospital. I was in Cuckoo Land at this stage. And I woke up in the middle of the night and the doctor goes to me, "You've been on drugs?" I said, "What?" There was needles in my arms and I said, "What the hell about drugs?" I said, "I don't even drink or smoke." He said, "Well, there's something in you." He said, "We don't know yet, but your eye pupils are in the back of your head." So, 8 o'clock, I managed to do a run out of the hospital at 8 o'clock in the morning with the needle still in my arm, and I managed to go back to the job.
A runner, did you say?
Yeah. And because subconsciously, I had put 2 and 2 together, because he gave me the drink.
Oh, yep.
And I went back and said, "What you put in that cup of tea?" He came in the door, and he literally, when he came in the door, he got the shock of his life. He was expecting me to be seriously ill or dead, because his plan was to take over the job. Because I didn't know at the time. He used to be a subcontractor. He knew all about the cha-ching.
Yep.
And obviously jealous or whatever, thought, get him out of the way. So I let him open the door. He came in. He got the shock of his life. He saw me. And I can never forget the tears coming from his eyes. I said, "What you put?" "Nothing." He kept denying anyway. So I get back to the hospital, got back, and the doctors will come around at 10 o'clock. And, "No, you can't go. You stay in for a couple of days." He said, "We found some drugs in you." I said, "What drugs?" "Oh, I don't know just yet. We're doing some more tests." So anyway, cut long story short, I think it was, I went home and my girlfriend came in and look, they kept asking me, "What did you eat and drink last?" And I was thinking and thinking and thinking. And I said, "The last thing I had was a cup of tea." He said, "Did you make the cup of tea?" I went, "No, I didn't." He said, "Well, I'd advise you, whoever made you that cup of tea, get them as far away from you as possible." So the Tuesday, my girlfriend wanted me to go to police straight away, but I knew without something in proof or something in writing, it was like saying to you, like, there's vodka in that. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't do it till I had proof. So 2 friends of mine, my girlfriend, we went to see the doctor the next day, I think it was a Tuesday, to get the blood test results. So the doctor comes in, he goes, "Now, this is what we found in your blood. We found Lemsip." I said, "Yeah, that's correct." "Now, we found alcohol, the equivalent of 2 pints of beer."
Damn.
I was going like, my friends are looking at me and I'm looking at them. I said, "I don't drink." "Well, look, I'm only telling you what I found in your blood." I said, "And a good bit of LSD." And I went, "What's LSD?" I hadn't a clue. I saw Levi, was the drugs, you know. He said, "It's a very dangerous drug." He said, "And a little bit more," he said, "I wouldn't be talking to you right now."
Trying to make you overdose.
Huh?
He tried to make you overdose
Yeah.
on it.
Did
So-
you get in trouble?
So
I'll get into that bit.
So he said, "I advise you to take this bit of paper with you, go to the police, because in my opinion, this is attempted murder. Because I'm not joking," he goes to me, "a little bit more," he said, "you'd be dead." So once I had the bit of paper, that was it. I went back to the job, and it was great timing. He was leaving at the time. We managed to see him on the footpath, getting into the car with his friend. And I told him, I said, "Look, don't come back here again. You give me that cup of tea, you know what you did. I said, "I got it in writing you." "I didn't do that." I said, "You can deny it all you like." I said, "I may be Irish," I said, "but I'm not flipping stupid." I said, "Don't come back here again." I said, "I'll just call the police." And then deep down, I had a funny feeling this is going to be the end of me and my job. Because I thought, if the police come here and the Germans find out, they'll put 2 and 2 together and make 5. So I went to the police, and because obviously it was in writing, they took it serious. They told me to go home. So I went home. I was in an apartment block in Perth on the 4th floor, and I was there sitting there. I had a studio apartment, and I was just sitting there contemplating life and what the hell's gone on. And next thing, bang, bang, bang at the door. Like, you know, the police, they bang very loud. And those holes in the door, and you can see through, like, and
Peek through.
Peep through, yes. And they got up. They must have known I was looking through the hole, and they put the badge up, Polizei in German. And broken English, can we come in? So I opened the door and let them in. And they were dressed like you and I, and they had the handguns in the back of the trousers.
Like detectives.
Yeah. So they asked me a few questions and asked me, do you know where he lives? And do you know where? I said, look, it could be in the Irish pub where I met him down the road. I said, I don't know. I said, look, all right, let's go there. So we went down the elevator, came out the elevator, and this is how serious they took it. There was 2 squad cars outside, and there was two dressed up cops with machine guns on the front door of the apartment when I was walking out, and 2 dogs.
Is this back in England as well?
No, in Berlin, in Germany.
In Germany, oh yes.
Berlin, in Germany, yeah. In 1996. And I kind of half shit myself thinking, wow, they're really taking this serious, you know. And with all I've been through in my past life, it was just like whatever to me, you know. So I went to the pub and they said to me walking in, before I walked in, look, if he's in here, just give us an elbow, give us a nod of the head and leave it to us. I said, okay, no worries. So I walked in, he wasn't there, and they just told me to go home and they'd find him. And that they found him, like, and I think he got 2 years for attempted murder, but it finished me, you see, because the Germans tore up my contract. The cops came onto the job then, checking up on me. They tore up my contract. And after 5 years being in Germany, I had to pack my bags and come back to England with nothing, virtually nothing. I owed men some money as well, because they wouldn't pay me the last payment.
Oh, okay.
Because Martin's into drugs, which I wasn't.
That was a setup from that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah, wow.
So I want to talk a bit about your book that you're writing.
Yeah. Well,
So the book, it's been just like a life story.
yeah, it's
you.
kind of my biography of what I've more or less what I've told you, but probably a lot more in the book than I've
Yeah,
told you.
A
And
bit more in depth.
Yeah, a bit more in depth.
What's one core lesson that you hope readers take away from it?
Well, my coaching tools, my money tools that I put in the second half of the book to help people move forward.
Yep.
And look, I can only plant the seeds.
Yep.
I can't live their life for them or hold their hand. And I do hope, and if they want to come to me afterwards, some coaching and hold them by the hand as a mentor, I'd love to do. And they take on my tools and they do them, because like my coach said to me many years ago, well, if you don't pay me, Martin, if you don't listen to me, he said, what are you going to do? You carrying on? Like the same as the majority of people out there do. They just carry on the way they carry on, but they end up getting nowhere. Or they end up having no money because they keep buying the nicest thing, or they keep going for their out the weekend and Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's like one Irish lad I had 2016 in a yard in Perth. He said to me, how do you save, Martin? It's awful expensive. Perth's awful expensive. And I did a bit of a sarcastic smile. He said, well, why are you funny? I said, you young people are all the same. He said, how do you mean? I said, as soon as Friday night comes, I said, it's out. Saturday and night, Sunday and night. I said, you check your bank account Monday. I said, why are you blaming Perth? I said, who used your credit card?
That's so true.
I asked him, I said, who used your credit card? Oh, he said, well, I did. I said, well, why are you paying in Perth, Sydney, London, Melbourne, Dublin? Whose fault is it? I call it reverse psychology.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
definitely.
Absolutely.
You always put it back on the person.
Yes.
And then the penny dropped. I said, I'm going to show you the trick. I said, I'm about to change your life. I said, but you won't know till I show you. I said, take out your phone and put me into calculator. I said, type in $500. I said, you can easily do this. I said, we're both getting $16.50 here in this yard. I said, I don't know your business, but just take for instance, you're paying $200 rent, $200 for food, $100 for transport for the week. So it's $500, say, just for round figures. You got $11.50 left. I said, what are you doing with $11.50? And you're telling me you can't save? Par's awful expensive. So I said, take out your phone. I said, put $500 in. I said, now multiply it by 52. I was watching his face at the same time. I said, what's come up? He said, 26 grand. I said, well, in 12 months' time, I said, only on $500, you're going to have 26 grand. And you're telling me par's expensive. I said, who's the fool here? Par's or you?
Accountability. You brought out the accountability.
So the funny thing is, about 12 months, 18 months later, I met him in an Irish. I went to an Irish pub just to get out for the night, and I handed my $5 over for my apple juice, or my pineapple juice, whatever it was. And the lady goes to me, oh, it's okay, your friend's paid for it. I said, I don't have any friends. I'm here on my own. Well, your friend, well, you have a friend behind you. He's after paying for it. So I turned around me, and lo and behold, it was that same guy. And I said, thanks. I said, why'd you do that? I said, thanks very much. He said, I owe you that millions more. I said, for what? And he discreetly showed me his bank account. He'd got about $50,000 in there in 18 months. He said, that's thanks to you. He said, thanks very much for kicking me up the backside that day. I needed that, he said.
You need that, don't you? I think in life, transparency is such an important thing. Being honest with people, letting them know, and also inspiring them in a way where they're recognizing, I guess, their own flaws and the own things they're participating in. I mean, sometimes you have to use a little bit of reverse psychology.
Sadly, some people need to be shown.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
And then they wake up.
Was there anything in your book that you were hesitant to put into the book, but you knew you had to for the audience?
No, not really. I've dished it all out there. I mean,
pretty open about everything.
Yeah, everything's in there. Yeah, everything.
No, that's good.
Yeah, everything. Look, I will say about the book, you may be a bit taken aback. Like a lot of people, it's only 121 pages. When I looked in the shops and books I read at home, and going a bit embarrassed, thinking, God, I was seeing people with 200 pages and 250 pages, and I'm thinking to myself, well, and a lot of books I've read, and I have found, and no offense to the people who have written them, they repeat themselves in different ways in the book to make it look a bigger book. Where for me, I don't like to, for my half the story, to drag it on and make people depressed or sad about my story. I've been kind of blunt about it. And in my good side of the book, I have been, the tools I've said, I've been blunt to it, because I'm more of an action person than I am of little pieces of paper and reading so many books. It's there, guys. Please read it. Please take it on board, action it, and change your life.
And is this the book year? Or is that a completely different book?
It's still to be printed, yes.
Oh, yeah. I will definitely add it. If you create a link or something, we'll definitely add it in.
Yeah, I think that'd be really good as well. Yeah, your book, it's going to be, like you said, it makes a lot of sense instead of having a book that's like 500 pages, which I've gone through books like that. Like you said, sometimes they repeat themselves in different ways of saying it differently, although at least your one's more concise and still like a substance. It's still potent. It's straight to the point. It's blunt.
And strangely enough, like when I've had this conversation with a few people, they've told me, Martin, I prefer a small book. I prefer to be to the point. And I've had people say to me, he said, I'll buy it. I prefer a small book, because there's another thing about a big book, and I've noticed it myself. I'll never read that. Too big. It's off-putting. 200 pages. When I find the time to read 200 pages, where there's I know it's only 120 pages, but I'm very blunt with life. I'm very blunt with people to a degree when it comes of life, kicking ass, doing the right things, and stop moping about life. You either want a life, you either want a good life, you either want to live your life and a good life and want to know how to do it, Or do you really want to whinge and moan all your life? Or do something with your life? Personally, like, I see people like in some coaches with hundreds and hundreds of books. I'm thinking, like, really? Do you really need to read all of them? And I don't. I personally, I have read a lot. But it's a lot for your own sanity too, because you need to be reminded. But as I say to people, if you get up in the morning, you do what I do, which I do every day. I pray every morning, and I have a set route of affirmations. I read, and then I do a full page of affirmations. I write. And it's important to write, because when you're writing, you're actually seeing what you're writing also. And it's also good to talk out what you're writing.
Journaling, technically.
And also, I have a CD in my car, and I play it constantly. And when it's playing, I also talk to myself. I have no music, I have nothing else in that CD, and people come into the car. "Oh, what's this?" I said, "Do you want me to change your life?" And by the time they're finished, they're smiling and they're in another uplifted world, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I bet it's really true though. Like you said, getting straight to the point, kicking ass. You don't have to read so many books. I think when you get the most knowledge is actually by taking action, just doing life.
Well, I have a saying, I have a saying,
just do it, make it happen.
You know,
that's it.
And also, make it happen, make it matter. And it's the same. Like if you want to get somewhere, like which I'm sure the majority of people do, they need to do these things, because moping around and going to the pub all weekend, like a lot of men do, unfortunately. Don't mean to talk bad about some certain men, but what are you doing? I mean, the perfect example I give is, and I've seen it in the past, you see lads moaning at their wages and they're not getting enough, and they're looking for a pay rise, they're asking for their pay rise. But you turn the other coin and they're in the pub all weekend. Or they're smoking, or they're on drugs.
At this point.
So why are you fighting for a pay rise? Because you're not doing anything productive with your money anyway.
It's giving it away.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point of view. I think usually most people, they're waiting for luck, waiting for luck to come save them. Like, that's definitely not going to happen at all. They're going to have to wield the reality they want into existence. If they want something, you got to grab life by the balls before it grabs you.
Yeah,
that's for
and
sure.
it's just like, you watch. I do watch a lot of YouTube. Especially when I'm on my own, but to be inspired myself, because I have to be inspired myself too to keep myself going, because I'm not perfect myself. I'm not a super coach where everything's going great for me every day. I also have my own challenges, and I have my perk ups. But when you see Rocky and you see Muhammad Ali on telly, like, they're always on about, come on, do it. Make it happen. Do it. Make it happen every day. Go like. When I'm not working and when I do my bike ride, I mean, it wasn't the training I did for 6 months before I got on that bike in Sydney was insane. It was stupid. When I look back, I was up at 5 o'clock in the morning, going to work, come home, sit down, have a cup of tea, get back out on the bike and do 15K. Then the next night I'd be in the gym for an hour, and it was every second night, 15K in the gym, 15K in the gym, every night. I think I had a Saturday off. I didn't do it, but
compound interest.
But it was madness. Yeah, this time I'm not going so hard. I mean, last night I was planning my ride down to Albany, and I was looking to break it up. Like, where am I going to sleep over? And I saw like cycling to Mandurah is only 50K, and I'm going, no, I'm not going to stop there. Then I checked how it's as far as it to Bunbury, and it's 172. And I said, all right, I'll do Bunbury
in one go.
Yeah.
That's quite
big challenge.
That is quite a challenge.
Remember, it's all in your head, guys.
Exactly.
Yes, it is.
It's all in your
power
head.
of the mind at the end of the day.
Yeah.
There's a good quote my pastor said at church. He said, if it's all in your head and not in your heart, it will lead to frustration. Because if you're not doing it from a place from your heart, if it's just from the head and you're conceptualizing too much, not taking the action, it's going to frustrate you. I mean, it's not bringing results.
There's no denying. Like, I mean, I've had business people are sponsoring me. Food, accommodation, everything's provided for me. Since the minute I put it out there, I just went to my business people and I said, I didn't even ask them for anything. I said, I'm thinking, it's like, no, he said, right, we'll sponsor you. I'm going, what? No, he said, we lost a friend to suicide a few months ago. You're going to Albany on a push bike, we're sponsoring you. And the guy across the table goes to me, "Will you go on television, man?" I went, "What'd you say? Will you go on television?" And of course, in the positivity world, you're meant to say yes. I'm not going to say no or I'll think about it. I said yes. So like, and for me to get to Albany, it's just a piece of cake. I'm just thinking, I will, what's going to motivate me is every day we're losing 6 men in Australia to suicide and 3 women. Every day. Every second day we're losing a guy to suicide in construction. And there's people that's offered to come with me to do the Facebook stuff. I'm not technical at all, unfortunately. I'm not good enough for that stuff. But I will not shut up. When I get going, I'll do the lives. I'll ring me, and I'll keep on and hopefully with the help of you guys to put the word out there and raise as much money as we can for mates in construction. Because without the money, these guys can't keep up their amazing good work. And as much as people are doing it hard at the moment, there's lots of people with money, and we are in a good, wealthy state right now with all the resources we have and mineral resources and everything like so. I'm sure with the help of God, we'll get thousands. Well, I'll do my best anyway.
You will, 100%, especially it's going towards something honourable. So I definitely reckon it's definitely going to rack up some money to help out people, that need the help as well, mentally as well. So Johnny, would you like to get to the interesting questions?
So we're coming to an end, so we'd just like to ask a couple questions. If you could sit down with your younger self, what is something that you would tell yourself?
Oh well, I've even said this to myself. If I was 20 years of age, and I was to buy the book that's been printed at the moment, my own book, I would definitely seriously do the money rules I put in there. Definitely, because I think money is very, very important regarding, like I said earlier, for discipline, but also for saving yourself the stress in life. Freedom, and especially where a lot of people get bullied at work today. Whereas if you have that few $1,000s saved, and you're having a tough time at work, and some boss or some woman is giving you a tough time bullying you, you can just stand up with confidence and say, you know what, have a nice day, goodbye. You ain't going to see me again. Find someone else you can bully and make them think again. Because at least you have that few $1,000s where you can afford not to work for whatever time it's going to take you to get that new job. And walk in there with your head held high, with confidence you're going to do that job. And you know what? That person will think twice about bullying you if it's on your CV why you left. And if it happens again, walk away again with confidence. Don't just sit there because you're not looking after your money. You're petrified you're living from week to week, and you're having to put up with that job because that boss is getting a kick out of bullying you. Because he's got no ethics. He's got no. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting what word it is, but to come across. But I know from experience, like, it's not a nice place to be bullied, and it goes to mental health. And I actually know people do commit suicide because of it.
It's good to have that control,
leverage,
to be able to be like, I don't need to be in this position anymore. I'm going to remove myself. It's good.
Seriously, money's not enough is taught about money to young people today.
Yeah, especially in the school system and education. Like, I remember being in school, you don't even get taught about taxes.
It's just like, not at all.
And all of a sudden you leave school and then you have to pay all these taxes, and you're thinking, why? Because you don't get taught about it.
No, that's correct, and it's something they should start implementing. It's good that your book has that, though. For people that want to understand.
What we've learned the last 5 years, they don't want you to know that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, for sure.
Because it's economy. What I've learned as well. It's an economy cycle. They want you to get into debt, and they want you to lose, because then the rich people gather the house, pick up the house for cheap, and you've got to struggle and get on again. And it's all about health and wellness as well. You get into yourself into a bad physical and mental state, and it's to keep the hospital busy. I mean, it's so pathetic. Like €1 billion it cost to build a hospital a few years ago in Dublin, in Ireland.
Quite a lot.
€1 billion. Oh, you found plenty of money for that. But there's people on the street.
Taxpayer money.
You won't feed our house. I'll tell you a quick story about an Irish friend of mine. We used in the old days, back in the day, we used to have these boxes. They call them troker boxes for the African people. We'd have in our Irish homes and put some money in for the poor people in Africa. And my friend went back from Australia to see his mom, and she said, "Oh, put some money in for the box." And he said, "Mom, I'll throw that box in the fire before we put it in." He said, "Do you not realise that them poor people don't get that money?" And his poor mom was naive and said, "Oh, don't be like that." And he said to me, like, he was going to purposely teach his mum a lesson. So he took his mum to Rome, to all the glitz and glamour of the Pope and all that. And the day before he took his mum on this journey, he did a bit of a tour, and he found out where the homeless people were. So first of all, he took mum to all the glamour, see the Pope and all the glitz and all the palace and all the statues. So he goes, he was telling me, "You happy, Mum?" He said, "Oh, yeah, the Pope is great, that's lovely." He said, right, come for a walk with me. He took him took a left turn down by the Vatican. 500 yards away, there was all these tents of all the homeless. And he went to his mum, "How does this make sense? You said the Pope was a great man and all that glitz and glamour." He said, "Why isn't he feeding these poor people?" They went back to Ireland. She picked up the box. She chucked it in the fire.
It's reality, eh?
Yeah, no,
That's how it is.
They don't want people being rich, especially I don't blame some countries where there's people that go and strike, because, they don't want to work anymore because they're not getting the pay rises they need. Like, I remember there was something in the UK with a strike at a certain hospital, and nurses didn't want to work anymore because they weren't getting pay rise. And this is like, they're sending our tax money to proxy wars in different countries.
Yeah.
And
Like what's going on at the moment,
Yeah, at the moment. And they're not really even supporting people's mission or people to upgrade within the finances. And yeah, it's quite pathetic.
Look at the pathetic stuff that's going on with Ukraine at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got all our people suffering here. So many people in my country, in Ireland and England, suffering, yet they're pumping millions and billions to Ukraine.
That's silly. That's for sure.
So another question I got here is, when it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
Good question.
Well, like I'm doing at the moment, I get great joy out of helping the people who are not in a good place, and the people with cancer. That the knowledge that I've learned from cancer, that you don't need what the doctors insist on you having today, which is chemo.
Fuck Big Pharma.
which is poison. Like,
Just makes things worse.
And yes, which I found out, and I'm not going to hold back on this. Which actually I found out the doctors actually get paid to give you chemo. The hospital actually get paid a lot of money from the government to give you chemo.
Like a commission.
Like a big commission. And I got this story from a woman who survived. And there's lots of great people out there, and I'm one of them, who have saved a lot of people's lives with products I know that can save you from cancer. Like, why would you take chemo that's poison? That there's a little bit of cancer in your body when all your other good blood, all your other cells are perfect, but once you stick that needle in there, which is poison,
kills everything else.
Thank you, John. It kills everything else. And I know it from experience. Your lifespan once you take chemo, depending, there's only for a small group of people if it gets it, if your cancer's very early. But the majority of people I know, your lifespan is 5 years once you take chemo. My lovely girlfriend only lasted 4 years. My mom didn't even last a year. My father didn't even last 2 years. I had a lovely auntie that didn't last 3 years. And it's all within 5 years. And chemo kills. It's poison.
It's true.
And I'm not afraid to say it.
Well, I respect that as well. A lot of people don't want to say that. And especially because, cancellation, things like that. But also, a lot of people don't even believe in it because of the conditioning of, what uni has told them, or maybe what traditional teachings and studies have told them as well, rather than looking at the box and thinking, well, maybe this normal things like exercise, good food, CMOS, certain plant medicines and things that you can go participate in that will definitely make you a lot more better.
And not to mention, they tell us, don't mention the word cure. They tell you on, like, you're told by Big Pharma and Facebook, don't mention the word cure, that you got a cure for cancer, you got a cure for cancer. Which actually I have. I know lots of people have.
It's all about the money they want to make. They make so much money through it. It's just
Well, if you think about it, the world revolves around Big Pharma, and they're big fancy hospitals. And once they get you in there, especially unfortunately if you're an older person, like I lost a lovely lady back in Ireland a week and a half ago, 82 years of age. She had a bit of a cold or a bit of a something before she went in. And when she got in there, funny enough, she got pneumonia. And when I had this conversation with my friend, he told me this, you're meant to go into hospital to get better.
Mm-hmm.
How do you end up in pneumonia and die in hospital?
Good question. Food for thought.
Just goes to show.
Yeah, no, that's...
But it just goes to show, like, you're preaching health and wellness. Like, I understand it costs a lot of money, and being a celiac, it costs a lot of money. But for God's sake, pay the extra money. Try and make another income. Try and get another job or whatever. Because going to McDonald's or going and buying the cheap stuff at Kentucky Fried Chicken, which is all poison food, you know, you wouldn't want to know what I've already been told and found what's in McDonald's food. Seriously, like.
I think 100% beef.
Yeah.
Definitely not beef.
Exactly. Most of our sickness comes from diet, what we eat. I think a lot of it, especially, there's a lot of sickness, and it's quite interesting how you look at like places in Africa. As much as, there are some diseases and things there as well, it's not as much as a Western culture. And it's just like, well, that country's a lot more poorer, but you look at the people, it's like a lot more healthier than a fully established and more developed country.
You're saying a very good example, because when I was growing up and I used to always watch the Olympics and I was being a runner and all that, who was the very best athletes?
African people, could say.
You know why? And I found that out during myself as well. Because they were just eating the best of food, the minimum amount of food, and the best of food. Where the Western athletes...
Like Americans.
Yeah, specifically.
We're trying to eat healthy, but in their so-called healthy food, which they have, and I've known, educating myself, there's also not so good stuff in their food. Where in Africa, you know... You ever notice when they smile on their teeth as well, like? Because they don't go to the dentist where you're, you know.
It's another rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah. But anyways, for the last question, this is something that we like to ask our guests, is what's the last message you would like to leave for our audience? It could be like a word of encouragement. It could be like preaching the gospel, word of encouragement, some motivation.
The last word, the last thing, I can only honestly stress to get when you wake up in the morning. I had this conversation with your friend Bailey when I was talking about life. When you wake up in the morning, be dang grateful when you're waking up and you open your eyes. Because there's lots of people that don't wake up. There's lots of people that sadly commit suicide the night before or during that night. And you've been given another chance when you wake up. So my message to you from hearing my story and all the positive books that are in shops, I mean, Jim Carrey had a saying of his chemist was in the self-help section in the bookshop. Because you got to feed your mind every day. Go to the gym every morning. If you can't afford to go to the gym, at least go for a walk or make an attempt to go for a run or do something that gets the endorphins into your head, you know, and kick your ass. Like, if you find it tough, check into a family member. If you can't do that, check into a good friend. I'm sure we all have someone in our lives that we can privately talk to and check in on you once a week and become good friends and make it a mission that every day or every week you're going to check in with each other and you're going to do this and you're going to, you know, reach your goals and achieve what you want to achieve and have a goal and achieve it, you know. And get a vision board. You know, put a woman up there if you're looking for a girlfriend. Put a check up there. Like, I've got 4 checks at home of $1 million and they're on my vision board. And I've got lots of stuff like and have in front of you and get some positivity music on every morning. And I try to get into the habit, like I was told back in the day, get into the habit of talking to yourself or putting on happy music. You know, like Simply the Best or I'm a Hero or the Uprising songs, and get into the singing. But most of all, change your mindset and your talking from negative to positive. Like I've said in the end of my book, like, I am wealthy, I am healthy, I am, like, you're meant to talk like this with these words. I am, I can, I will, I do. I like Muhammad Ali back in the day. I am the greatest. I like, before his opponent got into the ring, he was half defeated. Because Muhammad Ali was good. Even though before he'd won the fight, and he didn't know he was going to win. I am the greatest. I'm going to beat you. I am the greatest. So he was half won when he got into the ring, and he made himself bounce around. And the other guy, because he didn't have that Muhammad Ali's frame of mind, he was probably kind of half petrified. Well, this guy probably is going to beat me, which is what happened. So it's all about feeding your mind and talking to yourself, like walking for a bus, going for a run, in the car. I am wealthy, I am wealthy, I am wealthy. And smiling. You've heard the saying, fake it till you make it. It's the same with personal development, mental health. Fake the smile. Look in the mirror, fake it in the morning. Look in that mirror in the morning, you're brushing your teeth and watch yourself. I'm the greatest, I'm going to do it today. I'm going to have a frigging great day and no one's going to stop me.
I love that.
Amen.
You know, join a gym, join a boxing gym, do something healthy and positive. And like the endorphins, like you'll never feel like when you do an hour in the gym. Like I don't do an hour, but I do a half an hour. And when I do my half an hour, I do my Mike Tyson thing and I come out like, you feel the spring in your step, you know? You know, you feel like, come on there, let's have a ding dong. I could knock you out right now, but you're not literally going to knock you out. You know what I mean? You have that good feeling, you know?
I get that if I don't go to the gym for a while and then I go to the gym, I come out like pretty much just like on top of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you've actually done something, you've achieved something. No, I love that.
But mindset, obviously, I swear to God, talking to yourself is seriously important. And get the CDs. And I highly recommend, if not my book, Louise Hay's book. It's not even $20, that book. You Can Heal Your Life with it. You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. It was a bestseller in 1984. And when I bought it, and I can honestly say, it's even as good as the Bible. Because it's the power of you talking to yourself positively. And it's in the Bible too. And money management is in the Bible too.
Yeah, true.
You know, and I have come across a lot of religious hypocrites who says they read the Bible, but they don't really actually or have doing what's in it.
True.
And they're in debt too. And yeah, so, but I can't say it enough. Like when I leave here and I go in the car and I turn my CD, it's I am wealthy all the way home. I am wealthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy. Yeah.
I love the mindset. Thank you for that word of encouragement. I think that was very powerful, especially for us being here listening to the word of encouragement, but also our audience. I just wanted to say thank you for coming on, you know, for sharing your story, your triumphing of hardship, the adversity you've been through. So I definitely have a lot of gratitude for what you've done and who you've become through everything that you've been through as an individual. And it's definitely very empowering. And I'm sure Johnny thinks the same as well.
It's been a pleasure. And it's definitely something that I can take home with me and
thank you, yeah.
learn from.
Absolutely.
Yeah, look, you know, like I honestly, I sold my house in 3 years ago, and I haven't bought a television since.
It's good.
And I don't watch television. I'll tell you my biggest television, my laptop.
Mine. Oh.
YouTube. YouTube, I tell you. But when I say YouTube, I'm either watching Tony Robbins or Louise Hay when I have to, and I need to, because I need, obviously, when I'm getting a lot of negativity from talking to clients, I need to go home, and I can't be perfect all the time myself, you know. I need my lift and inspiration, you know. So I'll watch Rocky, or I'll watch a good lift, and then obviously I'm on the internet because I'm talking to people and helping people and doing my health and wellness products and stuff like that, and doing my coaching and making my money and trying to make a living, because I'm trying to give up construction and hoping this book will go out there. And yeah, my initial ambition is to make it's cost me a lot of money, so it's to get my money back from the investment I put into it. And yeah, it'd be good actually to get into. I was thinking it'd be good actually to get into schools. But when I say schools, say probably the last 2 classes that are leaving, or the class that's about to leave. Yeah.
Year 12s and stuff.
So yeah, sorry, I don't know what classes they are.
Yeah, I've been in school for a little while now. But anyways, thank you for
You're
coming
welcome.
on as well.
And thanks very much for
God
inviting
bless
me.
you.
Thank you. You
God bless
too.
you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alright, guys,
You can finish off there.
That concludes the episode. It's been a pleasure having you on, Martin.
Thank you, Johnny.
Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, and we'll put in a link for Martin's book, or we'll let you know what it is, and I'm sure you will get some value from that as well. Also, again, merch. If you really want some, we can definitely sort that out for you guys. Take care.
That was a good one. Good episode.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No, thank
Gonna
you.
take a lot back home from that. Yeah.
100%.